I have started acquiring storage media just to see what kind of treasure I can find on it. Old VHS recordings, deleted footage, possibly lost media too. So allow me to welcome you back to Archive Dive. Recently, I acquired a VHS tape through a Facebook Marketplace group for UK-based VHS collectors. With only the box to go on, I was immediately curious from the initial listing photographs. I spotted a box labeled Inside Futurama. Meet the actors, creators, and go behind the scenes. A green price label on the front shows the tape had initially been sold somewhere for $20 dues, and the overall production of the tape looked somewhat sketchy. I had heard about the screener copies of Futurama that had been sent to television studios ahead of the 1999 premiere through Scenometry's video on Nibbler's Shadow. I had hoped that this tape would contain the original first airing of Space Pilot 3000, along with a timecode or something along those lines for the purposes of review. What was on the tape, however, was something far more interesting. In the time before abundant and quick internet connections, in the time of small local news stations, electronic press kits and B-roll reels existed. Nowadays you have the current day press kit, where wallpapers, screenshots, videos, sound clips, logos, etc. are stored on a server, and you get given a link to view and download what you need. But certainly back in the late 1990s, when a show like Futurama was due to air, this was not the norm. Instead, these physical media kits would be made as cheaply and quickly as possible, and then sent to news stations and the like, so that they could put together their own segments to run themselves. These tapes would often contain little to none of the actual show being featured, which meant that copying them was almost entirely encouraged. Fox would have wanted this footage spread as far and wide as possible to hype up Futurama's premiere. There would be no legal warnings, no property of Fox or for your consideration labels, since the material was considered throwaway. Third-party PR firms or major television affiliate groups would assemble these B-roll reels from promotional material that had been sent to them, in this case by Fox, and then compile it into one master VHS tape, which would be copied and distributed to all their different arms. It would never have been seen by the eyes of Fox's corporate or legal teams, and they would never have touched the packaging design process either. In the case of this Inside Futurama tape, I cannot confidently say whether this is a genuine article that had been sent internally to a news station, or if it's someone's copy of that, which was sold at a flea market or convention. It definitely was eventually sold somewhere, given the price sticker, but it would have certainly been useless to anybody who purchased it if it were sold as a bootleg. The content order is peculiar, and there's very little actual Futurama content on the tape. A buyer would have been furious. Still, my gut says this was an unauthorized copy of the original electronic press kit. The inclusion of Comic Sans on the back of the box, the actors, creators, and producers give you a rare look inside both of Matt Groening's hit series, makes the tape sound exclusive and genuine. The title Inside Futurama implying a genuine, documentary aspect to the content. And the difference in clip quality across the Simpsons clips. My spidey sense says that this would have been an internet fan exchange bootleg of the original kit with a few added extras, likely sold or distributed by fans via Usenet groups. These tapes would have sometimes only cost as much as the blank tapes they were recorded on, and other times sold at a high markup to trick consumers. Digging through the archives of alt.tv.futurama, I cannot find any listings for such tapes, though I did find a reference to the press kit being available to download from the Futurama archive in real media format, which, if you know anything about that time in internet history, is unsurprising. I bet it was postage stamp sized and looked like ass. I'm going to let you decide, or maybe you know. Is this tape the real deal, or an internet bootleg? Let me know what you think in the comments, or maybe you know where it's from. Out of curiosity, I viewed the tape while I was ripping it, recording some reactions while watching, which will be interspersed for your viewing pleasure. This was before starting the write-up, so I had no idea what to expect. So I've got this tape here, inside Futurama. Now, you've probably already had a wonderful intro, written and voiced by me, that explains what this tape is. At this current point in time, I do not know. So I'm going to watch this. It's about an hour and a half long, or at least that's how long is on the tape. I'm just going to rewind it now. We'll see what £1 worth of Futurama documentary can get you. Oh, an hour and 52 minutes, 36 seconds. Starting recording, pressing play, and we're in. The tape begins with a 2-minute, 30-second instrumental music video with clips of the first season of Futurama and some basic early animation. Electronic press kit. Oh, okay. Now I am excited. Presentation 238 sweetened, interview, and B-roll. There's a presentation on this. Presentation sweetened by Fox Creative. So why do I feel like I've got my hands on something I shouldn't have?
As new employees, I'd like your opinion on our commercial. I've paid to have it aired during the Super Bowl. Wow. Not on the same channel, of course.
Welcome to the world of tomorrow.
Cool. Then, interviews with the cast and crew. But something about the way these are formatted is different. So interviews then. Okay. It's him. It's grading.
And Bender is a pretty cool robot. He's a bender. His full name is Bender Unit Number 22. He's programmed to bend girders. That's all.
Not Bending Rodriguez.
Shoplifting, and he reads robot pornography, and just like circuit diagrams. And
Circuit diagrams, robot pornography confirmed. These are what is commonly referred to as one-sided interviews. This is where the interviewer themselves is missing, leaving a clean soundbite package to be used instead. These exist so that news stations could record their own anchors asking the questions to create an illusion of interview exclusivity. Editors could choose which questions to include for their small, locally produced news segment. I like how these clips are all isolated, so it makes it really easy to just... Obviously, this was sent to maybe like networks to clip out little bits to use in their own vox pops and edits. The great thing about these interview responses is it allows you to record yourself asking the question and giving off the illusion that you're actually doing the interview with the person. There is a great opportunity to do like the Weird Al Space Ghost thing and just come up with fake interview questions that make their answers sound silly.
She's a babe with one eye, and she's kind of she was sort of described to me.
Trust me, the one eye has not stopped me, and it has not stopped Nico Subtat or any of the countless other creators.
No. And then what we was thinking, if you had
One shot, one opportunity. After the one-sided interviews, there is B-roll of behind the scenes on the show, revealing character design sheets, early coloring, a live table read, 3D modeling, and animation, and other elements of the show's production. These clips would again have been used by a local news station to produce their own segment. Wow, look at that original Leela. Man, could we get those no-no sheets? I wonder if those no-no sheets are available anywhere. How to draw fry. Oh, look at this! Oh, they didn't give us everything. We need more pages. I need to learn how to draw fry. I need to become the next Nico Subtat. This is great. Just seeing like storyboards and production art is fantastic. Yeah, they're not quite final, but that could also be because it's NTSC and colors sort of bleed and look wrong on NTSC anyway. Yeah, I mean, in this era, you had to do all your animation sort of in wireframe because you didn't really have the processing power to, have everything with materials when you're animating. But what's particularly interesting here is what comes after the Futurama specific content. An hour or more of related B-roll from cast members of Futurama and people involved with the creation of The Simpsons, as well as adverts and previous television segments. Oh, we've got some like clips from things. From like the Conan show.
You'll never believe what happened.
Everybody in the world is asking me for an answering machine message for their phone. So if you have your VCRs, crank them up. I'm going to do one right now for you.
Ooh.
Happy, happy, joy, joy. This is Stimson J. Cat.
And this is Ren Hork of the Ren and Stimpy Show.
We did it, Ren. We did it. We actually answered the phone. We usually answer the garbage can. Please leave your name and your message at the tone.
Listen for the tone, you idiots.
3, 2, 1.
Bravo.
Speaking of impression of B. Arthur,
Yeah.
you do impressions of some peripheral people. In fact, I understand.
That's where the voices of Ren and Stimpy come
Right, you do. It's Larry Fine.
Yeah, Stimpy, the cat, the big brain-dead retarded cat, was loose.
Couldn't say that nowadays. You could not say that nowadays.
He was this big fat folk. Well, I have to be politically correct. Burl Ives was this calorically challenged folk singer.
Calorically challenged. That's me! Assuming that this was originally in the electronic press kit, it might seem really unrelated, but think back to just before Futurama's premiere on the 28th of March, 1999. Futurama was an absolute gamble. There was no guarantee it would take off. The Simpsons was a sure hit that managed to dethrone America's most popular tea-time family series, The Cosby Show. It was a multimedia merchandising juggernaut that had comics, video games, soundtrack and music CDs, and hugely successful home media releases on VHS. The Simpsons was well recognized and loved. I know it's a cartoon, but The Simpsons showed a real family, in a sense, where people had their concerns, their weaknesses, their dislikes, their flaws. America really resonated with The Simpsons. It showed a proper American family, not some idealized show where everybody gets on with everybody else all of the time. Futurama wasn't a show set in current-day America. It didn't focus on a family. It was a pastiche, a send-up of sci-fi schlock from the early days of cinema, with ample jabs at Star Trek and other serialized sci-fi shows. It deliberately steered clear of the Danger Will Robinson, Lost in Space idealized futurism, going instead for a more grounded, cynical take on the genre. Futurama had every chance of failing to resonate with audiences. It had every chance to absolutely not catch on. So, assuming this isn't the work of a bootlegger and the Simpsons B-roll clips were included on these tapes, then it was done for one very obvious reason. So news desks could include tons of classic Simpsons moments and references, callbacks to classic cast and crew interviews, nods to important moments from series history, such as the 100th episode, or Do the Bartman. The tape ends abruptly with no closing titles or anything like that, further indicating it existed for the sake of passing on footage and clips only. From what I understand, tapes like these have become quite rare and sought after. The B-roll featured on these tapes doesn't always make it onto official home media releases, especially isolated interview tracks. Many journalists and news desks would have thrown these tapes away after making use of them, or after the show premiered, meaning only copies that were intentionally kept or preserved by employees would have survived. If you think about it, I used this tape for its intended purpose. I took its footage and features, spoke about Futurama, and the relevancy and history of The Simpsons. I created a news segment in some kind of perverse, necromantic way. That's really kind of funny to me, that even decades on, this tape continues to be used for what it was always intended for, to be cut up, remixed, and redeployed. I'm going to do my part and preserve this tape wherever I can, so that these clean, isolated clips and the B-roll is kept safe for future generations to enjoy. So I'm going to continue looking for more tapes. Because with finds like these, VHS archaeology is always extremely exciting. You never know what you're going to find next. I've been Escape Route British. You've been watching Archive Dive. Until next time, if we live that long.